Hello my star seeds, welcome to the bridge. So to make that clear to begin with, this device is approved by the FCC regulation, paragraph 15.103 of the FCC regulation, and the ROHS and CE compliant. So this device is accepted, it's fully functional, it's electrical. The inventor company is called Heliogenesis. If you're interested, it's called Experimental Life Energy Meter. So before for the critics to begin with, this is not based on mere conduction or capacitance or resistance or electromagnetic frequencies. They are in a scalar wave pattern, very faint frequencies in a spectrum that are neither electrical, neither photonic. They're like in between, like, you know, like we measure gravitational waves with lasers. Wilhelm Reich developed a life meter that will measure life force, anything that would emanate life force. So see my hand? See if I touch this here, which I'm not really touching it, I'm just close proximity, that's my finger. 100% human life force. I can do that with that probe, see here? The probe is for liquids and stuff. So to show you, hopefully this message comes across clear, that you have an understanding. This is a leaf from a bush that I took off 2 days ago, ripped it off, and if you leave this there, over time you would see the needle drop. So that is a healthy leaf, understand? When it fluctuates, see, that's I coming into the field. I wear non-conductive. You can't even measure a capacitance through this because it's an insulator. This leaf is like 2 weeks old. See how faint that life force is? Look at the needle. That was taken off the bush 2 weeks ago. Now come to your own conclusions. I'll leave this here so you make up your own mind. This leaf is dead. Months old. See? There's no life force in it. It is dead. You can also measure that with the Killian photography, where the coronal discharge of the cell would be gone. You would see no blue aura. So if you have a Kirlian camera, I think for $249, you can buy a device for yourself. I had one once, I'll have to buy that again, where you can measure actually the discharge. A dying or decaying body can be measured. So to show you capacitance, everything has capacitance, but it's not based on that. Also, everything has conductivity, meaning is it can you put voltage on something and will it transmit that? So also know when I'm moving my hand, the thing responds because it's me. I put this plastic here, which is dead, on the meter. No life force. Yeah, and interestingly, a guy wanted to challenge me. Yeah, it has to do with the capacitance. Well, everything has a capacity to a degree, so I've removed this here and I have an object that is non-metallic. That is the photon sand, just in a plastic bag. Okay, that's all there is. And I put that here. You have life force coming from the package. So that life force is, the sand is an idol. See how it fluctuates? It's like an intelligence, you know. It's communicating. Sometimes this works with intent. As I talk and I point at it or look at it, you might see the needle go up a little bit because it's reactive, like Ormus. I've measured Ormus off the chart. So now, then people wanted to know, well, what do your pendants do? So I took the brass pendant with the substance, considerable life force emanation. And you can do this at home. You can do your own experiments. I'm just showing you what's possible. This is the Jedi key for those who want to know. Let me go to the Gammatron key. I have to place it again. The needle flipped because I'm touching it. That makes it even more potent, because it's designed that way. When you touch stuff, it'll see. That's life force coming from the Gammatron key. That's why I tell people the Jedi key is stronger. I've made even stronger pendants to show you. I have the stainless steel Power keychain. See, we had 30%, if you want to call it that. Powerful life force output. I have my phone chip, which we have sent to Masaru Emoto, and I urge you watch my EMF chip video where I'm showing crystals forming in the water. Also, I have a notarized paper that explains that the fibroblasts, the connective cell tissue, the metabolism of the cell structure is enhanced by 21%. Like, I'm putting my money into the scientific research so I can show you the backup. Put this here. We have, oh, it's a little slippery. Okay, so we have a little, see, this is very, very faint. Life force, and that's for your skin, so that you receive photonic information coming in. Very important. See, it's moving. I'm not even touching anything. So that was the phone chip. I gotta move it a little bit away from here because the thing responds to everything in the field. It's also like a spiritual. So I see the energy in the room also picked up. The needle is doing little stuff here, but don't you worry. So Orgone, if you have Orgone energy, look at this device. I can do this, hover, place it on the probe, and see where the output potential is. Super high. If your Orgone doesn't do that, your Orgone is crap. It's freaking paperweight. Here again. And this is specifically designed to measure things that are life-sustaining. So if I put a strawberry on this thing, the strawberry will last 2 to 3 weeks and probably mummify. If you do that with a regular glass plate, that won't happen. You can do that experiment at home. Here, a pyramid that I created once for a custom made. See here, life force coming from it. It even varies when I go into the layers. See, the energy output can vary. See? Different things. Always mind you, when I come in, see, it picks up. My field already emanates, and it's not temperature, it's not based on temperature or capacitance. We have not really found out what to label that. They call it also rife frequency, frequency of intent. Like, you also, if you're psionically trained, you can focus on this machine, and the needle will actually begin to move. So as I'm already focusing on the machine, you see how this needle is already moving. This is where our psyche is. So I use then my substance Orgonite, and I place it on here, so you can see the life force that's for the Orgone people. You can order that in a minute. It emanates life force. That's the most powerful substance you can find for Orgone. I have to move that away from the device because it influences my readings. Then I put that in an EMF bag to increase its potency, so I thought, because it's shielding EMFs and distortions coming from the outside world. And look at here, super power pack with what's inside of there. Like, meaning we have a lot of space to transmit a lot of good energy, almost close to the human field. So that's the idea when I put Orgonite as in a powder raw into EMF bags. Very effective. Then I have, let's hope this holds, my golden, let's see, put it this way. It's touching the probe. I don't want this to touch the probe. See here? Very powerful 24 karat gold, 1 micron thick copper pipe filled with crystalline substance. See, when I come closer, it increases. So it bonds, it works with your energies. What I haven't tried, which is an experiment, is one of my holographic stickers with information and prayers that I always sell. These the holo shields. These are called the holographic quantum circuitry for the skin. Put it on here, and we have a little tiny life force. Also, I must admit, I charged them with photons to see, if they would hold a charge. Apparently they do. So I gotta remove this here. I have these the copper keychain, the brass keychain also holds life force. Interestingly, what I found out is that I have my galactivation oil has this much amount of life force, which as it's beneficial for topographical use. I didn't know when I created the third eye expanse for, you know, for your brain, and really getting into all the mushrooms. You got to read on my store, cordyceps, shilajit, heisho wu, lion's mane, chaga, that all these mushrooms have amino acids that directly go to the brain. And look here, when you combine those mushrooms, highly potent life force. Like, I can take a mushroom basically itself or the powder, and you will see a very high life force emanation coming from that. So that's for those who are interested in, you know, stuff emanates life force, stuff has life force. I can take a quartz crystal, you know, which is, yeah, piezoelectric, but not really. You cannot run no lights, no batteries. It's everything is in the nano almost with what it emanates. And when you're sensitive, what I'm showing you here, this is what your skin feels. The output of the life force that's coming from that crystal, that's what your skin feels. It's like a cosmic galvanic response. You have to look at what Galvan invented. Also here I got this little Star Trek button. See how potent that is. We have life force. So anything that I produce has to produce this, otherwise it's not leaving my desk. Furthermore, see there's an insulation between my potent stuff, and it still shoots through the resin that has nothing in it. So there's life force. I have a pyramid, which I rarely sell, big device, a photon emitter. I place that thing on here, and I can let that go. See how that jacks the system? So I have to move this really far away because, how can I say, it influences the reading. See, the reading is picking up because I have all the devices accumulating. It sums everything up. I have pounds of that stuff in my workspace. And next I will show you a bigger system to conclude this, so you see how life force works. Again, it's not really based on conductivity or capacitance or resistance. It's a little bit of in between. You know that the instrument they call the theremin is based on that. There's something in the human aura that creates an electrical interference, but it's only when it is alive. When it is dead, like a corpse, let's say a body that has been dead for 3 weeks, the electromagnetic interference, the emanation that comes from that life force is very, very little. You know, I show it to you again that you know the difference. This is a dead leaf, yeah? And this is a healthy leaf from the bush that I just plucked. So there's a difference in life force. And this was to demonstrate that. Come to your own conclusions, do your own demonstrations. Again, this thing is called experimental life energy meter. They rarely sell those. I think they're around like $300-400. What you can see here also is a probe. I tested that with the Ormus. I can dip that into Ormus, and the thing goes 100%. So I know a natural alkalinity in product also enhances life force. See how the needle stays up now because the energy is so high. So let me go to the next deal to show you how my bigger systems operate with this device. So this system here is more high-tech, upper class if you want to charge foods, charge your crystals, charge your tools. It's poured in into one system. It's fixed and mounted inside the case. This is my new and latest invention called the Cell Well Module. It's 11 pounds heavy because there's a lot of stuff in there and a lot of material. So just to show you the resonant frequency, well, I'll put this here, see how this goes up. This is Shunga to eat anything electromagnetically. So any electromagnetic disturbance that can occur is actually being eaten because we have Shunga. So this probe does not touch the surface. You see how high that is. It's a very high and very potent also earth magnetics alignment. It's also alive. As you can see, the needle is moving. If you have that in your room, it'll basically ionize the air, pump the stuff in the air, and really make stuff really potent. Again, this will also be in my store soon. This will be called the Cell Well Module, and it's a nice and compact. See, as I enter, see here how this life force, like I can touch this here in this response. You know, see, like my field responds to it. So I move. This is a very sensitive probe. See, I touch this. Is already over. My human body emanates so much of that energy that the machine picks up. So I'm removing this here gently, and I'm showing you. See this? This also pressure controlled, waterproof super case. This is all poured in within resin. It stays in that machine. I have to move that a little bit. Again, let me do this so you can see this actually, because I don't have the camera in front of me. So here you can see the needle, yeah, emanating, well, like around 10%. And that concludes that experiment. This has life force for you, okay? So now I'm moving this, watch the needle, close to the orbis. See how the needle picks up? Just the emanation of that. Now what I want to do is actually dip it, because the probe does not touch anything. It's a glass container that's vacuum sealed and a reflective foil around it, so nothing electrically can actually touch this thing. It's not about capacitance and conduction. I want to still argue that. And we will dip it in here. You see this? Full human life capacity. So for you to see clearly, I move the camera back a bit. This is a strong, emanating, very strong life force. See how this thing is at? It's also increasing. Like it picks up over time, it gets stronger and stronger. So you see there's energy going on. Well, now let's further our experiment. Since I love having you here, you wanna go further. You wanna know. This is life force. We're not talking ions right now. Well, I built this device, channeled in. This will be for sale soon. Dipped in gold. There we go. See, this energy is so strong that my needle doesn't even come down anymore. So I'm gonna do this that I can still measure this. Yeah, it's fluctuating. So we wanna know clearly, without touch, just very close proximity, okay? I'm not trying to trick people here. I mean, if people want to say something, they will say something, but it's just to demonstrate. You can do this at home. People have acquired my material. They do their own tests. So, turn this on. Look at the ions in this room here. It's going crazy. And how this changes. I have to kneel down a little bit. It's fluctuating. So this thing here produces ions. When I go in a very close proximity, negative ions, what you want. And you want that in the billions. And if you hold it long enough, actually, it really picks up like super powerful. See, it fluctuates because that thing it pumps. It's like a freaking generator. See, but now now it's always almost maxed. Negative ions, that's what you want coming from this. It's like an ionic machine, but this is a conscious ionic machine. The cell structure is the hexagon, like the cell formation, and this is to actually ionize 3,000 square feet. I have measured that. That's the reach. That's a different ionic meter, just to see if it's still pumping negative ions, because they vary, and sometimes it's tough to hold. See, and that's in the millions. That's like 28 million ions per square inch. That's already incredible. That's already mind-blowing to me. This thing will be dipped in gold, and then basically with resin this will be fixed, so you can't move this. This is a sculpture, but also it's a functional sculpture. This will be the Selwell Tower, or the Selwell Ziggurat. And yeah, from here on we will go to the next thing, which will be telekinesis, which enhances the field also for your skills, so you know. So the thing is it's under my influence. The first experiment here is, can I influence an object without touching it? My field has gotten stronger where squat would move, like nothing would really do anything. So pay attention to what I'm doing. It's absolutely wind still, it's absolutely sealed. I wear gloves, so there's no conductivity and static and all. Nothing can be transmitted. I'm completely insulated and isolated. Now check this out. You see this? I can influence it. So can you. This is Ascension Party, people. Things that you couldn't do before are now being enhanced, but we're just not training it. That's why we don't know. Let's see how far we can go. I'm gonna push this. I'll show you different techniques. This is the basic training for psychokinetic training. See what I'm doing here? I can do it from a distance. See? Same thing. It's just it's milder. See? Still there. Still there. So when you have your brain states in order, you whip this. Okay? See what I'm doing here? I didn't know I could be this strong. I thought I'd utterly failed. To be honest, I'm quite surprised here that I could really... Yeah, my prior experiments, I wish I would have recorded it. The thing just whipped off the needle. It's basically a piece of paper that, look at this. I can demonstrate this on the table. And it's not a magician's trick, you know, and I'm feeling the tingle in my fingers is picking up considerably. This is the beginning of your magic. I will train people how to be telekinetic, meaning having influence over objects that are suspended away from you. You can't touch, you can't breathe on it, there's no temperature fluctuation. I wanted to actually spin it, but somehow, I don't know, I feel like it's holding its own field. That's why I can only do what I can do here. See, look at this. I'll show you different techniques in a minute. I'm kind of like playing with that. You can do it in a salad bowl. You can do things where... I might have to edit this till it moves. Let me step back and just play with it from here and see if I can do something. So I'm moving my hands, I'm like 2 feet away from it, I want to influence it. And if I could still reach that, it means my field has reach. And mind you, I'm wearing gloves. I made it super hard for anything to connect. Like really, really, really very hard. Like you do that, usually it's like shut down. Like you're putting it in the other room and there's no connection. Quantum physics has proven that we have influence over one another through time and space. I'm coming back just to show you. What can be done. See, this is wild. Like it's evident. And you can do this at home. Take a piece of paper, take a rubber, a needle, fold it in form of a pyramid, see? Like in the square, fold it, hang up a piece of paper, or parchment paper, whatever you want to use. That you want the least amount of friction, because we are psychically very crippled, so we're not moving objects like that. But imagine when your electromagnetic wave patterns and your brain patterns synchronize, what you will be capable of doing. So this is the beginning. This is wild. Let me see if I can do this. Yeah. I wasn't able to move squat when I was 16. I'm telling you, it didn't work. Like, I utterly failed. So I'm pretty amazed of what I'm actually capable of doing. The psionic field seems to be stronger than I hoped it would be. I love it. Cool. Off to the next experiment. As the experiment continues, we now take the containment off and basically sit with the device. Mind you, I have a lot of psionic devices and amplifiers already sitting on the table, so my field is amplified. If we want to, of course we have wind and this and that, trying to be wind still. We can look at the ions being distributed. It's like the negative ions around here are on this table are crazy. I'm in the billions. These devices clearly show that there's something going on with consciousness. Also, when consciousness is projected, I realized that the negative ions fluctuate. So these devices show different variables behind the decimal. This goes further back than this, but they're both in the negative, as you can tell. So let's, I don't know how good you can read it. Hopefully it's enough. I'm gonna do this now with gloves on. I'm trying to actually spin it, okay? The spinning is a problem. I have different materials. Some respond better. See, static is one directional. When I change my hands, of course, the static field changes. But it's not just static. There's something with the human field we have to find out, which will actually see when I move this, how polarities change. I can come in, I can go out. See how this thing, you have polarities coming from you. You have fields operating. Oh, I kind of, without touching it, it fell. So make this heavier. Piece of paper. It's bleached. It's not really. I don't know what's happening. I never had this happen before. Like that crazy. I guess it's because I have all of this equipment here. Usually, that I'm telling you, I'm not that successful, and I'm really like, oh, it doesn't work. So I'm trying to spin this. And since the field is I feel also excited. Since the field is up so high, the static keeps holding the field. I'm trying to spin it. To the point where I want to manipulate the field and not really. And my camera is also tripping. I'm not changing anything on the camera. So it's difficult right now. Something is so loaded that it seems to be doing what it wants. I want to go into another experiment to see, you know, if I can get an object to actually go into a direction. So since we have too much static and energetic build-up with my devices, which happens, the field becomes very compact. So I had to remove, this is called the Edgley wheel, which was designed to actually train, it's called vitality indicator. If you want to order that online, I don't know. It's called the Edgley wheel. Comes in a nice package. And it's basically to show you how vital your body is. So we have a little wind movement, that's okay. What I want to demonstrate to you is what you can't base on wind movement and also not on thermodynamics, because it's not a chopper. It doesn't spin upwards. The air that my thermal produces from the body goes upwards straight. So now so people think It's not a trick. I'm not moving my hand. Right now I'm looking at this thing, you know. I'm not speaking in its direction. My room is actually wind still, so I'll show you how your field has a toroidal energy pulse field that actually moves. See, this is very slow. Today's also a good day. The energy is pretty up. You can spin objects. And see, I'm still wearing gloves, so there's not really temperature really involved here. Or air spin. I use the thermal camera. This is cold, sits on a cold rock. My heat, it cannot really reach this thing. I want to be stronger, which helps me like a lot in the cipher to get this thing to spin. Now look at this. So that indicates I have a very strong psionic field. Wind cannot disturb this. This comes from my hands, and my hands are an insulator. So static is not happening. So I've removed it from the table so you can see. But interestingly, the ions are crazy high. So I realize the more I accumulate these systems, the higher your energy goes. Also, mind you, I'm in Sedona. It amplifies your psyche. See, let me see if I can stop this now. Not moving my hand, I'm forming the intent to have it spin the other direction. It's tough because I'm not trained enough. Let's see, now check. I want to change this. I feel the resistance in my head. Like I'm kind of stuck in a loop. I have one directional power. You have to feel this is connected to you. So I've removed my hands. See, it keeps spinning. It can't be thermodynamics. I can move my hands lower to make the field weaker, but it still keeps spinning. The rock is cooling my hands to a degree where there shouldn't be any flow going on, but still, see, now I'm changing the direction. And when you're really powerful, you remove yourself and you look at it and you try to direct it. Concentrate. No air is moving this. Watch the current. Still my intent is on this thing. See, this here, understand in your mind, this is only a metaphor. You have it closer, you automatically think stronger. There you go. I'm still trying to change the direction. It works. See, your body polarizes scalar waves. And I can remove my hand. It doesn't go on for a while because I'm holding the intent. But that will bring it to a halt. I'm trying to cut myself from it. Disconnect. change direction. It's very, I can feel it how hard it is, and then make it spin in the other direction. You see what I'm doing? That is original psionic influence. And you can do that in an enclosed room. You can do it under a salad bowl if you're that strong. Again, encased, not all the time that works, so be sure we have no wind movement, no static building up. You can do it in glass. You can do it also in anti-static glass. It's the same effect. You know, people want to pin it on the rational mind, which is okay, which is the resistance. It works. I'm working with the wheel right now, as you can tell. I'm trying to push it. It's more difficult because in my mind I'm thinking I'm separated, when actually on the quantum level I'm not separated from the object. If I go closer, of course, I'm convincing my mind I can do more from a closer proximity. I'm weaker, of course, because the field is actually, you know, see, see, there you go. See, even to overcome, if something would be static, static means static, it's not moving, but it's operating. It's tough though. I can feel almost my left lower back lobe gives me like a sore muscle type thing, but you can see at least that little bit that it had moved, that we can actually do something with our hands and with movement, and this is how we can influence matter actually. I'm trying to spin it. It's talking to me. It's like an entity. I can feel electricity going through my hand, see? And I feel resistance in the field. Now to explain to you, you saw the movement, so enough. I'm removing that. Clear it, clear the airspace. Also stop it, so we're not getting any wrong impression of wind movement. And as I talk, probably this thing picks up. To round this up, explaining to you the negative ions in my workspace are like around 15 billion deep. So the higher the ionic field, the higher your connection with objects is. And you can test this at home. You can buy everything that I have yourself online. One is called an air ion tester, the Eggley Vitality wheel, and test yourself. And you can see when you train this, you pick up strength, you pick up power, you know, you gain more energy. And I didn't even know that when I put on gloves that my stuff will still work. So I'm putting took my gloves off, see? It's reluctant, but it's there. And at some point it'll spin. And rotating static energy comes from what? You have iron coursing through your veins. You have to have a psionic field. There has to be a degree of movement that you are generating, and that is natural, that is not magic, that is science. There's an instrument that the Russians have built called a theremin, which is a synthesizer that you can play by proximity. You don't have to touch it. So when your hand comes close, it's like when your hand goes high. And Google theremin, Theremin, was I think invented by the KGB to scan human auras. And the side project was that the inventor, Dr. Professor Theremin, invented this proximity synthesizer that you can play with the human auric field. So this is nothing new. We know this 60, 70 years deep. Science has known this. I'm showing you nothing new. I'm just introducing to you possibilities of consciousness and what you can do with your mind. Let's see if we can get the thing to spin one more time. Like I said, I would have to edit this if it doesn't work. But thank God I'm a pretty good psychic condition to show you this works. I'm actually very happy that this worked like this fluid. This is insane. I'm just kind of like a little bit blown away, as if I'm watching my own YouTube video, like how in the world. And this is how psychic and kinesis and all of these things happen. And we're walking around now just to show you. We have very high ionic fields around us. When you measure this, the lower the field, the less of your telekinetic power you'll have. I can see this gets packed very nice and neat. You want the path of least resistance. Pull this way one more time. I can do this with the little paper pyramid. Like I said, wind we know, but when things go in circular motion, oops, sorry. You have other things going on. This has to do with you, with ancient Egypt, and your connection to your own power. See, I can do this from a distance, but I can also, which is the harder part, make this rotate from close proximity. And this is not thermodynamics again. This is not a chopper. See, I'm trying to move it past the friction, and there you go. It's called chi. It's called prana. It's called psi. See, the shaking is me talking over it. It's the wind. I'm kind of like disturbing the field. See how you manifest reality? It's very powerful. And I'm very glad that I could share that with you. There's no price tag on that. You have to train that yourself. All I'm offering is, ooh, okay, keys. My keys basically increase your psionic field. And I'm wearing my stuff constantly. I'm surrounded by it, and crystals in the field is so intense. See what happens. And on that note, you're the Magi. This is all scientifically proven. This is not a David Copperfield or David Blaine show with like magic tricks. We have to learn how to use our human life force to enhance and heal. That's also for Reiki. And learn, what is this actually good for? And I'm not talking flying magic carpet. That's very high level stuff. This is to bring in the science to help the human race advance in their own psyche. See, what I'm doing here is like you're very strong. When you can do this, your psyche is actually pretty up. Meaning that your psycho, cosmic, and scalar electric field is pretty up. And I know people that teach that. So maybe I do a class on psionic training, telekinesis, and the modalities how to do it at home. So, let's stop this, bring it to a halt, and as you can see, a piece of paper, because you want it to be sensitive, you want the field to be able to respond to you. I've seen people that can move dust particles. Next level is flies, spiders, these little gnats that fly around in the wilderness and then they hover in one place. Well, if you have the power, they kind of move, or they form holy geometry. And that's how animals sense your field. That's how they respond to you. And that's the subtle field. See, this is a standstill now. And see, when we put our intention to this thing, see, it's also in a resisting, it's like almost like locked. So in order to move something, you have to really override this. You have to really go over this thing. So it's really not trying to spin right now. And there you go. See, I've 10 years ago, you don't know how many times I failed. I couldn't move nothing. This didn't move. So I'm open for discussion boards and anybody that wants to explain rationally why this works. Like I said, I had cases where I didn't even put my hands around it and I looked at the thing and this is what happened. This happened. You're gonna tell me that my static impulse is that strong that this thing just that does a lift off. Like I had cases where I couldn't even start my experiment because my stuff just toppled. So anyway, I hope that gave you a little insight, and a spark of what I do, the craziness of Orgone energy measured, telekinesis, psionic fields, and demonstrated how you at home can do a little bit with it. I probably do a course. This is just to give you a view into the real deal. And when these fields get stronger, influencing wind, influencing rain, healing riverbeds, like Masaru Emoto had a monk, a Zen monk that actually healed a lake after 4 days of prayers and brought back a lady that drowned and nobody could find her. Case was solved, the body came to the surface and the lake recovered. The pH level regulated, the fish returned. There's things that you can do that is within your power, and that's what I continuously teach. So on that note, I see you on the flip side. So basically, to sum it up is, the higher your psionic field is, the more your higher self and lower self is paired, the more capacitance, the more the alkaline and acidic balance in your body, like a super battery, is given, you'll have influence over objects without touching them. That can result into healing, things falling into place. I had a case where my partner looked at, I put the glasses on a table and they just gradually just went like this and jumped off the table. And we looked at it and we're like, do it again. We did it like 3 times and then it stopped. So plus also we living in Hawaii, living in Sedona, Mount Shasta, like highly jacked places, you'll attain those powers. But the trick is to what do I do with my own magic? And like I said, there's no such thing as magic. This is higher science and development of the mind. The Russians have found out the kids that can move objects that are much stronger than what I showed you, they can do this from a distance and stuff will fall off the table. Their brain hemispheres are synchronized and they can go from 7, 11 to up to 40 hertz as in super focus, like super gamma. That's required. So if you're interested in training that, get into modalities of how to enhance that. One of the modalities is get the ions and the cells communicating correctly and get clear in your body. People still sleeping on this. I'm training this. Before I had developed this technology, I wasn't able to do that. I wasn't moving anything. So this is ascension, so you have a chance to do that. So that also tells you we're past magic and magic tricks. Like, again, I could put this in a salad bowl and nothing happened. Like nothing, not wind, nothing. And I'm very happy because it's been years actually after I have to look back into it and dabble with it, and it kind of came back. So sometimes I have this with a ladder as leaned against the house. It's wind still. I'm a very good observer. And the ladder just goes whoop and smashes like across something. So I can see how energies, patterns, and these things move, and how your mind has an influence. And as I'm talking, my fingers tingle, my brain tingles. I bet if somebody would measure my brain state, I probably would be in a high alpha state, very alert. And something tells me this is the time to bring alignment forth. And alignment means, when the geometry is aligned, like the Vesica Pisces, 2 ciphers meeting, and there's a perfect eye in the center, and things really look harmonious. Guess what? The in-tuneness begins with these chakratic miniature points that get these energies from cosmic downloads, and then you get to do stuff. But you need to get out of theory, you need to get out of the state of theta. Theta is left hemisphere, Logitech, rational mind, this can't be true, the resistor, the cognitive dissonance, yeah, this is a scam, this is snake oil. All of this is your program to resist by the Anunnakian draconian oppressor 500,000 years ago, you're programmed to, not those who are on my side, I'm preaching to the choir, but the other side has programs running. They're like, even, when color TV was invented, Grandpa, I always use this analogy, black and white, it's by God, and stereo, I don't know what this is in color, it's the devil. It can't be good. I denounce this. And everybody gets their color TV, watches cable, and everybody is used to it. Like, I grew up having a black and white TV. In the beginning, where they said color would not be possible. They said planes wouldn't be able to fly. They said rockets wouldn't be able to fly. They said gravitational waves will never be found. We found them. They said anti-gravitic propulsion systems will never be developed. Well, we're working on it. So in the next 10 years, you'll see we're going from rocket fuel to anti-gravitic propulsion systems, because we will understand how gravitational waves work. So there's always a resistor telling us what can't be invented. And the inventors is the old people, the Bible true Christians. They crucified their Jesus. Put him on a cross, kill him. It's your Messiah. He came to proclaim the word of God and help you to get out of your sins, and you kill him. And we want to break that loop and that insanity that Tesla, Einstein, Wilhelm Reich, all arrows in the back. Wilhelm Reich was put to jail for the inventions that I showed you with the Orgone energy. The guy was locked up and died in prison because he said, we're not having such things. Thank God that the powers that were died out. Consciousness changes over time, nothing lasts forever, and the plans of Orgone energy are out there. I showed in a video how to amplify Orgone energy, how to also make it real, how to measure it. Like I said, send your stuff to Masaru Emoto, make sure crystals form in the water. If they don't form, then you have paperweight. You don't have anything that does anything. So if you can put stuff, like I put stuff in my fridge and stuff mummifies. In your fridge, nothing mummifies. I show in the Secrets of the Raki, the chamber where there's only one in the world, and once we have the space, it will be replicated and built here, complete download and channeled alignment of how this is set up. We put cheese and eggs in there for 1 year. They don't rot. You water them, you eat pristine as the first day you put it in there. But you can change molecules and influence dimensions. Science will make stuff happen where you would think it's magical. It is science, people. It's not magic, it's not mystical and shrouded in mystery. All that this can be done, like I said. This thing here is an air ion meter. Oops. So you can read the ionic flux here is pretty high because I have all my systems actually turned on. I haven't even gotten into coils. You can get that online. The other one is called the Edgley wheel. I'm not being sponsored by this, I just find that fun. They show you, how you work that wheel and train yourself. The experimental life energy meter is expensive. They can be up to around $500. You see, they print that themselves. This is not mass produced. Very sensitive if you drop that or disrupt that probe here, which is sealed, hermetically sealed in glass, and then electromagnetically sealed. So nothing can touch that, so that you can't really hoax this. If you have no life force, this thing will not detect anything. So you can measure your products and your things, what they do. You can, with this also, if you have a coil, iPyramids produces that, turn the coil on and see how the entire room picks up. Like place this 10 feet away and you see the needle going up, the field's changing. What I have is the Jedi key, and different versions of keys we're working on, and we have to change your field. And if you're sensitive like that meter, which is what you are, you'll actually pick up the energy of what I just showed you. Somebody can make a gesture and you're going like, this is really powerful, I can really feel this. And this is why I'm sharing this with you. I've enjoyed this. I find it fascinating that this is the age of Aquarius where knowledge is being released, and this is for you, past any conspiracy and whatnot. Develop your skills, develop your own inner magi. Soon there will be a webinar. Check announcements and description box. It'll show up in one of those latest videos. So in February I will do a galactic grounding webinar on the Quantum Conversation platform with Lauren Gailey. So that's coming up, that's in the works. So I'm preparing that now. And it's basically to get you well, to get you okay, to get you in agreement with your higher self, and to get your inner psionic power and magic up. This is the time, and nobody can stop you. And as easy as 1, 2, 3, A, B, C. Have fun, enjoy life, take everything with a grain of salt. You don't have to believe anything that you saw here. Get into the experience for yourself. It's like me describing a magical island that you can only find when the wind changes. See in me if that is worth a polygraph test, which we can take anytime because we have experience. Or you want to run from it. And then when you visit those places, you're like, oh, Ra was actually right. That actually exists. And it's fun being here. And that's the fun that I'm sharing with you. That's called a shareable thought wave. On that note, wabba wabba wabba, God bless, and see you on the telekinetic side. Peace. Bon voyage.